So in this video we want to look at fundamental particles. Fundamental particles are particles that what we study under particle physics. And particle physics is the last topic in physics for year 12 Cambridge International Edition. And we were looking at it either from the beginning in our last previous video, where we started talking about atoms in the nucleus. So we look at the protons, we look at the electrons, and then we look at the neutrons. So what exactly is a fundamental particles? Fundamental particles are those particles that could not be subdivided any further. So those particles that we cannot subdivide into any further division is what we call the fundamental particles. So we're going to be looking at the protons and the neutrons. And this idea of protons and neutrons was discovered later on. So they were found that protons and neutrons were not to be fundamental particles because they are composed of yet smaller particles called quarks. So I want you to underline the word quarks. Protons and neutrons were later discovered not to be fundamental particles because they were yet composed of another smaller particles that is called quarks. And we will be looking at this concept of quarks, we will be looking at this concept of electrons, we will be looking at this concept of neutrons, and all our things that it entails as far as physics is concerned. So after this discovery of antimatter in cosmic rays, of course a quark is an antimatter, and we are going to be looking at it in terms of cosmic rays. The quantum theory that all fundamental particles has their corresponding antimatter particles were then developed. So we're going to see in terms of the matter and the antimatter particles that have the same mass but opposite charge. And we are also going to see the theory was to be supported or was it not supported in terms of the anti-protons and the anti-neutrons. Of course, we are going to look at quark as leptons. We call them leptons. Electrons, so in terms of positrons, and they're the neutrino. From the original video that we did earlier, I explained the concept of the anti-neutrinos and the electrinos. So these corresponding antimatters that we call fundamental particles will be something that we need to pay attention in terms of the families of particles. So these families of particles are the hadrons and the leptons. Under hadrons, we are going to have what we call the barons. So the barons and the mesons. We have the barons, the mesons. Under barons, we are going to have protons, neutrons. From mesons, we have what we call the pions and the kaons. We have the pions, the kaons. Now, these hadrons is made of quarks and the antiquarks. The quarks and the antiquarks is further divided now into barons, then mesons. Then from barons we have the protons, and then we have the neutrons. And then from the mesons we are going to have the pions and the kaons. So generally now we are going to have electrons, positrons, which is the anti-electron, or what we call the anti-electrino, and then we have the electron, the anti-neutrino. So I want us to understand this concept step by step, and I will be explaining this concept in the next video, where we are going to now focus more in terms of the hadrons and look at the concept of quarks and how we can now subdivide them into barons and into mesons. Don't forget that the barons are the protons and the neutrons, but for the mesons you get the pions. There is a difference between baryons and mesons. The baryons gives you protons, neutrons. The mesons give you pions and karyons. So these are concepts in physics that we are going to talk about in our next video. Follow for more.